Yes, you. I need you to stop what you're doing and lock into this video. You need to know what's happening with the Supreme Court right now in the case that they're listening to, because we are in danger. I am not exaggerating. So the Trump administration is appealing to the Supreme Court on lower courts' ability to issue nationwide injunctions, which are essentially the only thing standing in the way of Donald Trump and the many executive orders he's signed since taking office. Now, I'm not a lawyer at all, so forgive me if I don't have this all the way correct. But the gist of it is Donald Trump has been signing executive orders left and right since the day he took office, and almost all of these executive orders are being challenged by courts. These judges in these lower courts are issuing nationwide injunctions to stop these executive orders from taking effect because most of them are unconstitutional, just blatantly unconstitutional. The birthright citizenship executive order that he signed, for instance, is blatantly in violation of the 14th Amendment. Now, obviously, the Trump administration does not like this at all. But in the interest of transparency, there have been previous administrations who have also had issue with judges issuing nationwide injunctions to stop their executive orders or their policy. A big one was when Joe Biden tried to get that student loan forgiveness passed. Multiple lower courts issued injunctions to stop him, and that's the reason we didn't get our student loans forgiven. This issue, though, is especially sinister with the current administration we have in office, right? Because I'm here to tell you right now, if Donald Trump is successful in getting the Supreme Court to side with him and limit the lower court's ability to issue nationwide injunctions, it's actually game over. I am not being dramatic when I say that at all. It is game over. Because what that means is that he will be able to issue executive orders that are blatantly unconstitutional and illegal, right? And the courts would be limited in their ability to oppose him. The plan that the Trump administration is suggesting to deal with this is ridiculous. Essentially, they're saying if the Trump administration or any administration were to issue an executive order that violated people's constitutional rights, citizens would have the ability to hire a lawyer and file a class action lawsuit or something like that and appeal to a court or the Supreme Court on the legality of that executive order. And should the court agree with the citizens who brought forth that claim, they will essentially say, okay, your rights are being violated, so therefore this executive order or this law, whatever, doesn't apply to you, but it would still be applied to all other citizens who were not part of that claim being brought forth. Meaning any verdict in a court case would not be retroactively applied to all impacted citizens. So for instance, let's use this birthright citizenship executive order that he's trying to get passed, right? Should that executive order be in effect, obviously there are going to be millions of newborns, right, who were born in the United States, who have constitutional rights as American citizens, but it won't be applied to them. Their parents can, come together and file a class action lawsuit on behalf of their children, right? And when the court eventually agrees and says, okay, these children are obviously U.S. citizens if they were born here, right? Then they would say, okay, this executive order doesn't apply to you. But it would not be retroactively applied to all other newborns who weren't part of that class action lawsuit. Another example is if Donald Trump signs an executive order saying basically the Second Amendment, that's gone now, everybody got to turn in their guns, which is a blatant violation of the Constitution. People would have to come together and file a lawsuit in order to get their constitutional rights back, right? But the time between when the executive order is signed and when a court actually has the time to rule on that case, it could be months, it could be weeks, it could be years. And in that time, only God knows what kind of damage could have been done at that point. That is why I'm saying if the Supreme Court sides with Donald Trump on this, as far as limiting a lower court's ability to issue a nationwide injunction, it is game over. He will be able to pass whatever executive order he wants, bypassing Congress altogether. And even if it is blatantly illegal or unconstitutional, the time in which that executive order is signed and takes effect versus when a judge can actually rule on it, the damage would have already been done. I have been preaching for the longest time how dangerous this administration is, right? And a lot of it seems like, I'm just Chicken Little, the sky is falling, but this is serious. This will impact every American in the country for years, if not decades to come. I'm serious. This is not a game. And what's worse is that the conservative Supreme Court justices who have a majority in the Supreme Court are actually kind of leaning toward Donald Trump on this matter. So this is getting real.